Welcome to All Things Chiropractic.
Well, welcome to another episode of All Things Chiropractic. I'm Paul Andrews.
And I am Dr. Mark Davini, and we are excited to have with us a guest.
This
Dr.
is a very
Peter Kevorkian. Yeah,
yes,
very
this
special.
is a very special guest. We just saw him a few months ago. Doc, thank you for being here today. We really appreciate it.
Oh my God, I'm honored. This is awesome.
Yeah.
So
Let's make it official. This is Dr. Peter Kevorkian, president of Life West College.
It's an
Yes.
honor to be here, guys.
Yeah. So as we roll into our episode, Doc, 2-minute or less bio. There's probably one or two people out there that don't know you, so give them an opportunity to get to know you.
Dr. Peter Kevorkian, I practiced for 42 years in Massachusetts with my wife, Dr. Patty Giuliano. During my time in practice, it was a family practice. It was a home office practice. And we were also hosts of an organization in Massachusetts called the Mass Alliance for Chiropractic Philosophy, which was a once-a-month gathering of fellowship and friendship to support chiropractors, apolitical in nature, but a professional support group. I've also taught for the International Chiropractic Pediatric Association. I've been on the board of a number of organizations, including the Mass Chiropractic Society and other organizations. I served as chairman of the board at a chiropractic college for the better part of 8 years. And in January 2024, I left full-time practice to be vice president at Life Chiropractic College West in California. And as of July 1st of 2025, I took over the presidency of the college. So,
Nice.
An amazing summary. I love that.
If I may add just a little bit to my own experience with Dr. Peter is that I've known him since chiropractic school. I think you're only one quarter behind me, but we were definitely there all at the same time. And you will never come across an individual with more passion about chiropractic than Dr. Peter. I can promise you that.
you're very kind, Mark. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
And
been
we're
an
gonna
honor to serve. And anyway.
there is so much to dig into, Doc, but let's start at the beginning. We know you, we've known you for a long time. Mark's a little older than me, so he's known you even longer. I know how passionate you are about chiropractic, but I don't really know the story of how you got into the profession. What attracted you to the profession?
Oh, great question. So I was an engineering student. I was going to Tufts University. My freshman year, I had started chiropractic care as well, and I was intrigued by this way to care for the body. I did not start with a back problem. Interesting how I started. I was at a Christmas party my freshman year of engineering school, and I was sick as a dog. I had a fever. My glands were all swollen. Congestion, and I did the smart thing that a college student would do and decided to go out drinking instead of
Yeah.
instead.
Right. Liquid cures.
You stayed at home and drank, right?
The party was at the my girlfriend at the time, her best friend's parents were having a party. It was a house party, and my girlfriend's best friend was a chiropractic assistant. So at this party was a chiropractor, and then they're talking. Wind up meeting the chiropractor. I mean, there are dozen people at the party. I get talking to the chiropractor, and I said, I really feel like crap. But the thing that I find so interesting is I can feel my glands are swollen, but there's this lump on my neck. And I said, "Do you know what it is?" I knew he was some sort of doctor. And he looks at it and he feels it and he says, "Well, that's a swollen lymph node." He says, "It's your body's immune system. If your body's working right, a couple days it should go away. If it doesn't go away, come by the office." And I said, "What are you going to do?" He says, "We'll find out why your body's not working as well as it should be and handle it." So part out of curiosity and part because I didn't feel any better. And my girlfriend, had talked to me a little bit about chiropractic. She would seek the end of care. So that's why I started going. I said, "Well, what's this guy going to do to my body?" Well, as I started getting adjustments, and not only did the infection go away, but I noticed changes in my body. I never liked doing drugs or doctors at all. But my body started feeling better than I ever had. I was doing martial arts at the time. My form was just like it took off like a rocket. My balance, coordination improved. And every time I would go, I'd ask my chiropractor a bunch of questions. And I said, well, this all makes sense to me. And I would go, and years later, Dr. Kadima would say, he says, I used to hate it when you would come in the office. I knew you were going to ask a question.
You were one of those.
And it also seems so haphazard what the guy would do. I'd be on the table face down, go, boom, boom, boom. And one day I go to him and said, Dr. Kadima, do you know what you're doing? He says, no, boom, boom, boom. And he brings off the table. I said, you don't know what you're doing? He says, I don't know, but your body knows. And it's actually the bit of chiropractic philosophy that I got. He says, I don't know what's going to happen when I adjust you. What I do know is that there's less pressure on your nerves. Your brain and body talk to each other better. And what your body then needs to do is your body's choice. I'm not here to force you to do anything other than to make pressure. There's no pressure in that control system. And he walked out of the room.
Doc, would you say that was ground zero of your philosophical
100%. I was going to say
that's awesome.
Impacted the trajectory of my life.
Wow.
Does it say it any better than that?
Oh my, simple. No, your patient education,
basic,
101. So then I started looking at chiropractic as a career. One day I began to adjust. I said, how do you learn how to do this? And that started me on a journey to try to learn about chiropractic. So that's how I started. About the end of my sophomore year, I decided this is what I wanted to do. I applied to Palmer College, and I figured I'd gone so far through engineering school, I didn't need to do prerequisites. I got my BS and worked actually for about 6 months as an engineer, and then I started Palmer College. Then the second most, that's one moment.
Okay.
I'm in first quarter orientation, Palmer College, like 168 other people in the class. And in orientation class, the day they collate you, your registrar comes, financial aid comes. Somebody comes from the philosophy club and does a lay lecture, an old Reggie Gold lecture, attitudes that keep you from becoming healthy. And he did the lecture like 15 minutes. That 15 minutes changed my life. I mean, I had tears in my eyes because it was the first time I actually heard the chiropractic story from start to finish. And I said to myself, I'm going to learn how to do that. I'm going to learn how that person just did that. I was a scared, introverted little boy, 26 years old.
No, that's hard to believe.
The thought of getting up in front of a group and doing a lecture was not at all on my mind. So I literally went to the philosophy club, learned how to do it. And I'm going to say by the time I was halfway through the program, which might have been around the time that you and I really met, Mark, I felt as though I could do patient education better than anybody else. I really worked at that.
Well, again, another one of my little stories was you walked into one of my classes as an underclass, in a sense, as an underclassman, and you started teaching us philosophy. This was an osteology class.
Yeah.
And you walked in and started teaching us about spizzorictum.
Right. Yeah. I remember I had told some of the instructors, I said, if you ever can't teach, you need somebody to cover a class for you. Let me know. I have to say, I was a little cocky.
The boldness.
You weren't covering. You weren't covering. You walked in before class started and just started talking to us.
Okay. I don't remember that. Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. And then the teacher walked in and didn't want to interrupt you.
I love it.
So would you say that your philosophical quest to know more actually enhanced and changed your personality to be more outgoing and that quest to share?
I will tell you, anytime I'm going to get up in front of a group and speak, I mean, I would do this, the hundreds of ICPA classes I've taught, even now when I'm talking in front of the students or administration, I actually have talked to my introvert. And I said, okay, you can sit up here. I mean, literally, I imagine this person sitting up in the left lobe of my cortex. I said, you can sit up there, take all the notes you want, anything that you want to critique, but you do not have permission to talk to me till I'm done. I said, because we are our own worst critics, all the not good enoughs and stuff. So that is my mechanism of coping. It's like when I'm doing what I am on a mission to do, I don't want anything to interfere with it. Then a little introvert comes down and says, "Oh my God, you did this! Oh, you stupid fool! Why did that?
Why'd you say that?" Right?
God, I can't believe that came out of my mouth.
Me doing better at what I want to get done. So that has been my means of coping.
Yeah. Now being in this profession for similar timeframes, certainly I've had my observations over the years. But how do you feel the profession has changed over the years, or has it changed over the years?
Yes and yes, no and no. you know.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, let's put it a
except
different way.
was
You are now president of a college, and you can mold and shape education and pivot. What are you doing that maybe your predecessors were doing differently that you want to do with your quest?
okay. I want to first answer Mark's question really briefly, and then
Yeah.
I'll tell you exactly what we're doing here, what my vision is. Um, in terms of acceptance, there's more acceptance of chiropractic than there's ever been. More people know about it. Pretty standard. The challenge that has always fit our profession is what we're trying to do is fit into an existing system, and becoming a limited specialty within that system, or we're going to change the paradigm of how people look at their bodies. COVID was a huge amplifier of that. We spent so much energy, money, resources, focus on trying to eliminate, kill off, or avoid a virus, and virtually no energy to try to create healthier human beings. And we've equated the lack of disease with a healthier human being, and that's not an equal sign. Obviously, if you're healthy, you'll tend to have less disorders, diseases, but that we need to work at creating healthier human beings in this country and in the world. And that's the core value of chiropractic, is to create healthier human beings. So on that level, I think the world is more ready for it. But unfortunately, so much of our profession has tried to get acceptance within a system that's already established, that we're just another version of natural means of treating conditions. But I believe the real shift in the paradigm needs to be looking at things differently and elevating the health, well-being, and vitality of the human being. So,
And
so
this
that's
is where Life West has the advantage of having you,
yes,
because
one
not
hundred.
all college presidents think that way.
I can tell you some stories. I've met with college presidents. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
While we're
Okay.
recording, Doc, go ahead.
No, I'll
We have
tell you.
all
I'll tell
day.
you a story later. No, so my goal. I said this to the philosophy instructor, the philosophy chair, shortly after I got here. I said, we really don't need more philosophy courses. And she looked at me, she knowing who I was. She says, "What do you mean?" I said, "We need chiropractic philosophy in every course. We need to have a chiropractic lens on how we teach everything, from self physiology to medical diagnosis to technique." And that is one of the things that I want imbued within our program, is to actually ensure that there's a chiropractic lens upon everything that we do. My predecessor, Dr. Ron Oberstein, had created a program, tweaked the program to be called clinically inspired learning. Basically, every week there is a class that prepares students to become a clinician. So it looks at things from the clinical eye, but the focus of the class has become getting our students ready to be in the health center. And the health center is not a real clinical experience. I mean, it is a clinical experience, but it isn't a real practice experience. So I'm tweaking that class, which is once a week for an hour, to offer a chiropractic lens into everything that is taught, so that the instructor is intimately familiar with what the students are going through in every quarter, and can actually begin to put a chiropractic orientation into those classes, as well as preparing this generation to being able to have an intimate connection with human beings. I mean, we now live in a time where people have developed a relationship with one of these, and part of our world will never replace us with the digital world, but it's about connecting person to person. So the true clinician is somebody who's compassionate, who listens to people. So that class will morph to that direction. I also feel as though our philosophical courses are individual classes without a real thought being given to what are the outcomes that we want. And what I want is not just somebody who can espouse chiropractic philosophy and communicate that philosophy to patients, but somebody who is a critical thinker, who can engage in debate, who maintains a degree of ingenuity in terms of how they explore this philosophy and its application within our world. So there's a whole revamp that I'm doing, the philosophical components of what we do. And then on the technical side, we have really lost the reverence of the various chiropractic techniques that exist. And all the
Mm.
colleges teach package. They teach God, they teach Palmer package, they teach Life package, Sherman package. Um, I'm I don't want the college to teach package. I believe that every technique has within it a brilliant model of the spine. Clarence Gonstead looked at things a particular way, different than Hugh Logan looked at the spine, different than major degenerate look to the spine, different than an Arlen Fur, different than a Donnie Epstein or a Sue Brown. And each of them has such a beautiful perspective. And I believe a system needs to be taught as a system and not just a homogenation of that. That's what we'll do as practitioners. We will eventually create, the Mark Davini technique or Peter Kevorkian technique, which is the expression of our art form through who I am. But let me learn from the masters based upon the systems that they developed. And so you ask most chiropractors today, what technique do you do? They'll say diversify. Oh, I do drop table. That they identify their clinical service by the force application. But yet the true magic of what we do, the adjustment is the analysis, determining where that force goes in, what type of force am I going to put in, then a specific application of that force. So that's the Life this is a slight adjustment in terms of the program to ensure that the integrity of every technical protocol is maintained, and that within our health center, the students have a clear rationale of adjusting based upon that protocol. At the same time, they need to learn medical diagnosis, case management, to fit within the paradigm and the world of whether it be third party pay or licensure. So those will be there, but we're still going to have them be grounded in the analysis and adjustment of the spine. Because in my world, every spine deserves to be adjusted, literally from the day they're born till the day they die. So within that paradigm, students need to become grounded and being able to determine, is there pressure on the spinal cord and the nervous system? Where is it? And what's the best way in which to adjust it? So that they need to be grounded in and be able to articulate that and be confident and competent in being able to deliver that. And then having the knowledge and the language of how to articulate into a pathogenic world, into a world that puts us as a primary care physician where we need to be offer the services that the society expects, but still keep us grounded as a chiropractor. Basically, what I did in practice. Because you guys have been my compliance officers for a while. We've gotten to many conversations over the years in terms of how do you do this bridge? How do you maintain the legalities and what the society expects from you while staying grounded as a vitalist and a chiropractor?
One of the questions I always ask people, and it's the most disturbing to me, is what is your criteria for determining when and when not to adjust? And I'll say more than 75% of the answer is, where does it hurt?
Where does it hurt? Person symptomatology or medical diagnosis. And I'm not saying that in the world of medicine, when we practice as a spinal manipulative therapist, that's real. That's what it is. And there's a degree of competency we need to have in that. But in the world of chiropractic and understanding the spine, the nervous system, and how that is such a critical part of how healthy we are, how well our bodies work, how our immune system, how everything works. Let's ensure the health and well-being of that system.
Now, you can't have a vitalistic concept if you don't know when and when not to do something.
Right.
If all you're doing is basing it upon what somebody tells you, like you said, we're going down a medical path.
Okay, Doc. I want to take you back a few decades. I'm going to pivot here for a second. When you returned to Massachusetts after graduating from Palmer, when did you decide and when did you start MACP, the Mass Alliance for Chiropractic Philosophy?
So I came back to Massachusetts. It was spring 1970. No, 1982. I graduated in 82. I then went back because I wasn't actually sure if I wanted to be in Massachusetts at the time. I had strongly considered actually practicing in California with a good friend of mine who had graduated Palmer a year ahead of me. And but there was something inside of me that said I needed to go back home. So not knowing what I wanted to do yet, I associated with my field doctor, Dr. Kadima. And shortly after doing that, I met Patty, my present wife. But we started dating and fell in love. And she wanted to stay in New England, and we started a family practice together. So we actually started that in we met 1984. We started at right around that time as I was getting married and we were just getting our practice off the ground. There were friends of ours who were also recent graduates that we would get together regularly, and they knew friends. And we said, let's all get together. We're all new practitioners. some had young families, kids getting started. So back, I'm going to say for 1984, 85, somewhere right around there, we started getting together socially at somebody's house once a month. And everybody would bring food. We do a potluck, and the host of the event would provide silverware, plasticware, uh, drinks, whatever, and we would do that every month. And the core group of us that decided to do this, I remember, was myself and Patty, Eddie Cohen and his wife Ann at the time, Howard Goldberg and his wife Leslie. That was like the group of us. We would get together beforehand and just to organize before we broke apart socially. We'd all sit in a circle and just start sharing. And we would share things like seminars that are coming up, who you get your X-ray machine from, your phone system. And then we started doing some little marketing things, health fairs and whatnot as a group. That then morphed into the ICA of Massachusetts as people, particularly Eddie, wanted to get more involved politically. They said, well, let's start a philosophy group. So I'm going to say probably around 1987-ish, 88, something like that. We started the ICA of Massachusetts, the International Chiropractic Association of Massachusetts. And once a month, they were doing philosophy nights, and we were doing them in hotels. So that lasted for 2, 3 years. And then 1990, Patty and I were building our home in Westwood, and the ICA of Massachusetts was losing money every month. What it was costing to have a hotel and market, it was not sustainable. And Eddie had left the area, and I said, "Hey, let's just do it in my house." We had that meeting room that we built on top of the office. I said, "Let's just." So 1991 forward, we met at my home office, and I said, "I also want to be apolitical." So we changed the name at that time from the ICA of Massachusetts to the Mass Alliance for Chiropractic Philosophy. So that's when the original portion of the group probably started in the early 1980s. The formally became the Mass Alliance for Chiropractic Philosophy probably around 1990, 1991. And until we left in 2024, it was at our house, home office once a month. After that time, the board of the Mass Alliance has started we're doing it in hotels. Did that for a while. Now they've moved it back into people's offices, but we're still meeting once a month, and it's awesome.
Mm. And during that time, I mean, clearly there was a passion to meet and perhaps a vacuum out there in the universe to want to fill. Did Was it fully embraced by people? Like, I know that in my 30 years of being, adjacent to the profession, I learned that there's, mixers and straights. And so was there ever any conflict there, or was it just, those that wanted to come came, those that didn't?
Yeah, it was never exclusionary.
Right.
The group knew what we stood for. I will say, I would have more people come up to me at conferences, seminars. Oh man, I get your card every month about that meeting you guys are having. Yeah, I think it's great what you guys are doing, but and then they give me a reason why they couldn't come. But it wasn't a person that I said, "What the
Yeah,
hell are
we
you
never
doing
heard
that
of that.
philosophy?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will tell you the more interesting thing was when we started the group, but the MCS, the Mass Chiropractic Society, they were freaked out. They thought we were starting another organization. And
Right.
Tom Brawl calls me and he's all like stressed out. I said, Tom, we don't want to start a political organization. We're not in that MCS is good. And so we wound up doing a few things with the MCS periodically. Uh, I had no desire to not support the Mass Chiropractic Society. I was on their board for a period of time.
Yeah.
The MCS is a great group in terms of what they did politically. That was their vibe. We didn't want to do CE and all that stuff. That's their job. We just wanted to be a support system, a fellowship that could get together and stay grounded in the things that are unique chiropractic. And I'm going to say, I don't think that there is a person, even the most ardent, lack of a better word, mixer, the person who does all the various therapies and treatments that I'm not making any of that stuff wrong. I mean, the chiropractor wants to do that stuff. Nothing wrong with that. We just want to ensure that everybody has the opportunity to have their spine adjusted. That
Well,
everybody,
if I were to say now this will air on a Wednesday, so what would you tell somebody to do Thursday morning? Once
in
they
the
listen
practice,
to you, once they listen to this podcast, they've heard you talk. What would be your best advice for someone to do on Thursday morning?
um, have the space in your mind. One word. Wow.
Ah.
Have that space in your head of like, wow. And I mean that very authentically. Okay. Life is a miracle. What life does is a miracle. That everything that is going on inside of a person's body, whether it's pleasant or not, is a miracle. It is the expression of the genius and wisdom that created them. If when we adjust somebody or are taking care of somebody, or for the word I meant, treating somebody, the greatest gift we give that person, that patient, beyond the thing that we do, including the adjustment, is having that person recognize that their body is a miracle, that they're carrying around this amazing creation that knows how to make every drug, every chemical that you'd ever need in a lifetime. It knows how to work. It knows how to make your heart beat. It knows how to have you emote. It knows how to digest your food. It knows how to have your immune system work. And you have a responsibility to your body to care for your body. And that if we can empower people to recognize that their body is this brilliant creation, then people are going to take better care of themselves. You allow the chiropractor to come into witness of that, that everything that happens, even though we don't like some of that stuff, is still the brilliant expression of this innate wisdom of the body striving to adapt to the environment. Yeah, even the many practors, although I don't even like that term, okay, they are still striving to allow life to do what life does best. Okay, through the various forms of treatments and therapies, the supplements or the machines that they utilize, we're working with life. So my recommendation is allow patients to recognize, allow people to recognize that their bodies are brilliant. They're a genius.
Get excited about it.
When you meet your colleagues, let's say someone who's a sophomore, junior in the profession, been around for a bit, and they're trying to
Well, are you saying a student or are they in practice?
no, they're in practice, let's say they're 10 years in practice or more. But we
Younger
talked
than us
about
and older than Paul.
yeah, yeah, exactly. We talked about you talked about, and Mark and I have talked about it on many episodes of All Things Chiropractic about how chiropractic doesn't fit into the system that's out there. And when you try to, you lose something as a profession, you lose something as a practitioner. What would you say to that doc who's maybe just kind of burnt out because they're just so beaten down by reimbursement that sucks and the amount of responsibility that is laid upon them? What would your advice be to re-energize or to help that practitioner, that doctor?
Well, that is sort of the whole reason why the Mass Alliance even began, is that people lose focus of what they do. Uh, y- y- Most chiropractors that I know go into this profession because they want to serve and help humanity. That's their drive. And the core value of the Mass Alliance was to keep people locked into that. We're here to serve people. We're here to serve humanity. And we get distracted very often in practice, in compliance issues, in regulatory issues, in reimbursement issues, and we very often lose sight of why we're really here, and they get bogged down with the BS of stuff. And I feel as though very often people make decisions from the outside in rather than the inside out. Um, My vision was that I wanted every person on planet Earth that I could touch to be free of nerve interference. I wanted every person to be able to receive a spinal adjustment from the day they're born until the day they die. I wanted in my practice for people to come in and get their spines checked regularly on a weekly basis. So that's my vision. So I had to create procedures and protocols that align to that vision. Well, if you're going to charge 50, 60, $70 per visit, every visit that somebody comes in, and you have a family of four, that you want to see that family once a week for a lifetime, you're talking about $15,000, $20,000 a year that that family is going to have to pay cash, right, to come into your office. That's prohibitive for many, many families to be able to do that. So I knew I needed to create a structure, procedures and systems, and a fee structure that allowed a family to be able to receive care the way that I want care for myself and my family. So that became my value structure, creating a procedure and a protocol. Okay. Then I need to find a way to articulate into the world. Okay. How do then I fit my practice into a world that's built around a third party pay system? How do you interface with that? With regulatory agencies? How do you interface with that? How do you language it? How do you create procedures and protocols that stay aligned to what the world expects you to do while living in a paradigm that is very different than how much of the world lives? So, but I made the decisions from the inside out. What winds up happening is people get this idea, oh, I want to serve the world and help the world. And then they said, oh, I got to fit into the world here. And they don't work through it this way. They start out here and then they try to create stuff that confuses them and they never get back to the original goal that they started with. So that's where I think the big disconnect happens is people get burned out here. But I could stay grounded in I'm here to serve the world. I'm here to help as many people be healthier by making sure their spine is free of nerve interference. I can get better and better at being able to communicate that. I'm going to find a language that even works out in this area here to talk to third-party payers. I was audited by Blue Cross Blue Shield. I don't know if you remember that. It was one of the most intense experience. They were questioning the care that I had given to 25 children that I'd taken care of, like all of my records. I thought I was going to be out of this room in 20 minutes. They had like 30 people grilling me for the better part of 8 hours. But I will say that being grounded in who I was as a chiropractor, getting through that process made there was no confusion, no challenge of who I am as a chiropractor. But the problem is they are living in a medical paradigm, and I was living in a chiropractic paradigm. And the way that they had languaged things is someone who lived in the chiropractic paradigm could be there. They said, we just decided to part ways. I said, I didn't have to pay them back anything. They didn't find me fault for anything.
Mhm.
So we just decided to part ways. So I guess you can be grounded in your philosophy and find ways to articulate in that world. Did I answer your question, Paul?
Yes, and you know what? I remember Mark and I met you and Patty and a few people for dinner, sort of around the same time. And it was, like you said, it was intense. And I said to you, I go, Peter, how do you keep yourself so positive? And I remember, I'll never forget your answer was, it's a choice. And I'm choosing not to spiral because of this problem. And I'll never forget that. I think that's good advice for anybody, that your emotions can be a choice,
And your outside in viewpoint is perfect because it's exactly what we hear all day, every day of people complaining about all the outside in stuff, and then they lose their inside out stuff. Perfect. Perfect.
So I have only one more question. I know we're getting short on our time. Thank you for carving it out for us. So, Doc, what would you say to a potential student, someone who's dancing around thinking about joining the profession?
Great choice. Obviously I have a bias. I
Yeah.
like college was
Yeah.
the best education.
I wonder what college you would
Yeah.
recommend.
Not just the school, but someone who has an interest in serving and isn't sure if chiropractic is for them.
Well, I think the best way to make that decision, a number of things I would recommend. Go visit chiropractors. I said, go see different types of chiropractic. Go see a family practitioner. Go see a sports person. Go see the person who does lots of therapies and other things, and go see the person who just adjusts people. Just get a vibe. Most chiropractors I know, somebody calls them up and says, "I'm considering chiropractic as a career. Can I come and hang out in your office?" Most chiropractors will say, "Sure, come on in." Some of them will, and the ones that say don't, you don't want to go see them anyway, right?
Exactly.
Um, then the next thing I would recommend is go to a discovery day, or most colleges right now will do a day or a couple of day experience on their campus where you actually get to see what the profession, you get to see classes, you get to hear students, you get to get your hands on people, you get a real experience of what it's like to go through that process. But those are my recommendations. Just go talk to chiropractors. There are two decisions you need to make. One, do I want to do this thing chiropractic? Okay. So that's one. Do I want to help people, serve people, be involved in healthcare with this art form? So that's question one. And part of that is talk to chiropractors, read stuff online, listen to some lectures, go visit some schools. The second thing is, what school do you go to? And I said, go visit the schools. Go visit them. Go for a tour. Talk to students that are there. Talk to faculty that are there, and get a sense of what's going on. I have a big bias, obviously, for the school I'm at.
If you don't get the feeling that people got listening to you today from the school that you're visiting, go to the next one.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Awesome. Dr. Mark, do you have anything else for our wonderful guest?
I just want to say, as a Mass resident, and you being a Mass resident, and Paul being a Mass resident, we are so very proud of you.
Thank
As
you.
Yeah.
accomplishing
Well,
all that you have done and will do.
It was an honor to have you guys come out to my investiture last fall. It was great to have you here. It was a fun celebration.
It was. Yeah.
It
Um,
was.
A great group of people. I think the planet shifted a little bit. We had so many people from Massachusetts.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I was a little worried about the San Andreas fault there for a while, but we made it through.
You made it back. Guys, I can't thank you enough for what you guys do. I remember, I'll never forget, you guys had started your business, and we were at a seminar sometime, and we had to do the X-ray compliance thing. And I said, "Hey, Mark, what do I do with this?" And he says, "Oh, yeah, we do that." I said, "What do you guys charge?" And I think it's $100 a month. I said, "That's a no-brainer. Sign me up."
Yeah.
You said exactly that. That's
Yeah.
exactly your
Yeah.
quote. So
Yeah.
thank you.
And
Thank
so
you.
lots of times new practitioners say, "Well, what do I need to do in practice?" And I'll sort of give them an idea. Yes, you need a tax ID number yet, and hire a compliance officer. What the hell is that? I said, call these guys, and literally I give them what you do, what you offer is take so much stress out of docs' lives, so much stress. And people say, "Well, are they going to make me do stuff I don't want to do?" I said, nobody can make you do what you don't want to do. I said, and I'll be very honest with you, and I said this to many chiropractors. There are things that Paul and Mark want me to do that I won't do. I said, but I make that very conscious decision. They make me aware of the laws, the regulations, what the standard of care is. And if I choose to step outside of that, I'm making a choice. That's sort of like taking out an expense, putting something as a business expense that is questionable, whether it's a business expense or not. You make that decision, and I could defend it if I was called to task by the IRS, and I could defend my decision if I was called to task by a regulatory agency. And that's the huge gift. Okay, it's not that you tell people what to do as much as this is what the laws are, this is what the regulations say, this is what the standard of care is, and then do this. You're always going to be happy. If you're going to step outside, realize you're walking around naked. That's
The
Well,
Emperor's New
thank you very
Clothes.
much for that. We appreciate it. So here we are. Oh my God. Thank you.
Well,
For your
Dr.
time
Peter
and your energy
Kevorkian,
for sure.
president of Life College West, chiropractor extraordinaire, good friend of ours for such a long time. We're just blessed to have you here. Thank you so much for carving out the
honor to
time.
be here. Thank you,
We
guys.
wish we were in California right now because there's like a foot of snow outside, but that's okay.
All
Maybe
good.
we'll see.
Oh, good.
Well, thank you again for joining us for
Another-
another episode of All Things Chiropractic. I'm Paul Andrews
And Dr. Mark Davini.
and Dr. Peter
And-
Kevorkian. Thank you.
Very welcome.
Be well.
Thanks for listening to All Things Chiropractic. We'd love to hear from you. Visit allthingschiropractic.com with comments, episode ideas, or questions. Or connect with us on Facebook and Instagram at All Things Chiropractic Podcast. Be sure to join Dr. Mark Davini and Paul Andrews next time for another episode of All Things Chiropractic.